Today's lesson is the world's most magical train trips. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to continue talking about magical train trips that you might consider taking sometime during your lifetime. Now, last time, of course, we talked about the Orient Express, which goes from Paris to Istanbul, Turkey, but you got to have a lot of money for that and probably some connections to get a reservation. But hey, if you want to pamper yourself, check out the Orient Express. And we also talked about a train trip down under, the GAN, which takes you across the Australian outback.
Yeah, both sounded great. Of course, if luxury is your thing, the Orient Express is definitely the one you want to pick. But if you'd like to see some of the beautiful, amazing, stunning scenery of the Australian outback and maybe have a few little adventures along the way, like cruising down a gorge or a mountain bike trip near Alice Springs, then the GAN or the GAN in Australia definitely would be the one for you. I think it's the one for me, Roger, simply because it's not $46,000 per person. The Orient Express is. It's a bit more expensive.
Yeah, that's just for pampered rich people. I think I'd rather go to Australia there because you can check out kangaroos. And,
that's right.
And various other unique aspects of Australia there. And you can probably mingle with the Australians themselves. They're a lot of fun, and you could have a Foster's Lager or something like that and have a great time. But we've got a couple of other train trips that you can take that we're going to talk about in today's lesson. The Rocky Mountaineer, which is from your home country there, Mike.
That's right.
And we're also going to be talking about a train trip right here in good old Taiwan, the Future Express. But first, let's indeed talk about the Rocky Mountaineer. Let's listen.
The Rocky Mountaineer. Canadian rail company Rocky Mountaineer offers sightseeing experiences like no other. To guarantee great views along the way, trains feature glass dome coaches and operate only during daylight hours. Passengers can choose from 4 routes, with the most popular being the first passage to the west, which travels through the Canadian Rockies. Starting in the oceanside city of Vancouver, you'll enjoy stunning views of Lake Louise and Castle Mountain before finally arriving in the resort town of Banff, famous for its breathtaking mountain scenery and natural hot springs.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 daylight， 这个字是名词，表示白天或是日光。像是 You can't see much right now, but this area is beautiful in daylight. 虽然你现在看不太出来，但这里白天的时候很漂亮。或者 During the winter, there is no daylight in the Arctic. 北极在冬天时没有日光。另外补充含有 daylight 在内的片语 in broad daylight. Broad, B-R-O-A-D, in broad daylight, 表示光天化日之下。我们可以说 It was surprising that the man was robbed on the street in broad daylight. 那名男子光天化日在大街上被洗劫，真是令人震惊。或是 The bank was robbed in broad daylight. 那间银行在光天化日之下被抢了。接着我们看到名词 resort， 指度假村或是度假胜地。例如 The resort we stayed at had a swimming pool, tennis courts, and a golf course. 我们住的度假村里有一个游泳池、网球场，还有高尔夫球场。或是 Residents hope that the new resort on their island will bring much needed jobs. 岛上的居民希望新的度假村能为他们带来所需的工作机会。另外 resort 也可以当作动词，意思是诉诸或是凭借。像是 We'll have to resort to swimming if this boat continues to sink. 若船持续下沉，我们将得要靠游泳求生了。也可以说 Tim had to resort to drinking from the lake when he ran out of water during his hike. Tim 在爬山时水喝完了，因此只好喝湖水。再来我们看到单字 breathtaking， 这个字是形容词，意思是美到令人惊艳或是赞叹的。我们可以说 The cabin had a breathtaking view of the valley. 从那座木造小屋里可以看到令人屏息惊叹的峡谷美景。或者 The beach is a perfect spot to watch breathtaking sunsets. 这个海滩是观赏绝美夕阳的完美地点。另外补充一个相关片语 take one's breath away. Breath, B-R-E-A-T-H, breath, take one's breath away, 表示令某人因惊讶或是震惊而无法呼吸。举例来说 The fireworks display was all right, but it certainly didn't take my breath away. 烟火秀是不错，不过并没有到让我赞叹的地步。或是 The magic trick took the audience's breath away. 这个魔术技法让观众惊叹不已。
So here's the Rocky Mountaineer, and we begin by saying Canadian rail company Rocky Mountaineer offers sightseeing experiences like no other. So I guess the first question I need to ask you, Mike, as a Canadian, have you ever taken this train before?
Nope.
You haven't. Have you ever taken a train out to the west from your hometown of Montreal?
No, definitely not. Train travel in Canada is quite expensive, to be honest, and it's much faster and cheaper to fly by plane. So it's the kind of thing that tourists would do, but I think train travel is getting more popular as people are aware of global warming and train services get improved. But the Rocky Mountaineer is definitely a tourist type of train experience. Most people would just fly from Vancouver to Calgary over the Rocky Mountains, but it is an experience for sightseeing like no other. Absolutely. When we talk about sightseeing, we talk about being a tourist, seeing the sights, taking pictures of the famous places, and seeing the iconic locations. That's the type of thing that sightseers will want to see. They won't have their nose buried in a book or a magazine on the train. They'll be looking out the window with their camera close at hand, taking pictures to make all their friends back home jealous when they get back or when they post it on Instagram, because it's an experience like no other. It's a very unique, special experience traveling through the Canadian Rocky Mountains by train and getting all the views around you. And you will get all the views around you because you're on a very special train.
And to guarantee great views along the way, trains feature glass dome coaches and operate only during daylight hours. So, of course, you want to guarantee those great views. After all, if you're going to take the time and spend the money to take this train, you want to make sure that you've got these great views. And, of course, this company makes sure the passengers have this opportunity. They have these glass dome coaches, which offer stunning views.
Yes, they do. So these coaches, these are the train carriages. That might be another term that we use for them. They have glass dome roofs. Basically, the roof is made of glass, and it's also a dome. So it's sort of like a portion of a circle. When we think of a dome, you might think of the top of a famous building or church, like the U.S. Capitol building, or St. Paul's Cathedral in London, or the Vatican, the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. These are all under a dome. Or also many stadiums, many sports stadiums, their roof is a dome. So it's kind of a rounded shape, kind of like a portion of a circle. On this train, the dome, or the roof also, which is what it is made of glass. So you can look up as you see, and you can see the mountains towering above you. And of course, this will also provide you with great angles for your camera. And so because of this special train, and because of the fact that people are taking it for sightseeing and not just for transportation, it says the train operates only during daylight hours. So basically, the train only runs during the day. The train won't be traveling through the night, because if they did that, you would basically be in your destination by the morning time, and you would miss most of the views because, of course, it would be dark at night and you'd be sleeping. So they only run the train during daylight hours, or during the hours when the sun is up.
And passengers can choose from 4 routes. 4 different ways to take this train, with the most popular being the first passage to the west, which travels through the Canadian Rockies, which I believe are between British Columbia and Alberta.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's where you'll start, in British Columbia on the western side of the Rocky Mountains. It says, starting in the oceanside city of Vancouver, you'll enjoy stunning views of Lake Louise and Castle Mountain before finally arriving in the resort town of Banff, famous for its breathtaking mountain mountain scenery and natural hot springs. I think there's a lot of people here listening. Probably if you've ever taken a trip to Canada, you probably would start on the west coast in the oceanside city of Vancouver. That's the major Canadian city that's closest to Taiwan. It's just on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. That's why we call it an oceanside city. And once you're on the train and you head up into the mountains, you'll be entering Alberta, which is the next most western Canadian province. Lake Louise, Castle Mountain are there, lovely places to visit. And then you'll finally arrive in the resort town of Banff, which is right in the middle of the Rockies, famous for its old hotel, for its beautiful views, for wonderful hiking and sightseeing during the summer months. And of course, Lake Louise is well known for great skiing in the winter. So this whole area of Canada is also popular, as I said, with tourists. Many Taiwanese people who would love to travel there or have traveled there, and they have breathtaking mountain scenery. When something is amazing and makes you go, wow, and look at that, and oh, how beautiful, and quick, honey, hand me my camera because I have to take a picture of this. You're looking at something breathtaking. It takes your breath away. It makes you stop and look at it and just go, wow, what a thing I'm looking at. In this case, we're looking at the mountain scenery, beautiful mountains, lakes, trees. It's like a painting. It could be a painting. And of course, it's the subject of many famous and popular photographs. And also up there for people who love that type of thing, and I'm sure there are many people listening, natural hot springs. That's right. If you like going down to Beitou or Yilan or any place in Taiwan for hot springs, they have the same kind of thing right up there in the middle of the Rocky Mountains in Canada.
Very cool indeed. So, of course, you can take that train in Canada, and if you go there in the winter, you might catch yourself a hockey game as well. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson. Let's bring things closer to home now. Let's talk about the Future Express right here in good old Taiwan.
The Future Express. In Taiwan, old trains have found new life as scenic tourist attractions. The remodeled Future Express has been painted with a black and orange design that hints at its sunset theme. This year, the Sunset train was upgraded to provide passengers with a unique fine dining experience. Departing from Taipei's Nangang Station, the train offers a fancy, food-filled one-day trip to Hualien or two-day trip to Taidong. The concept seems to be a hit, as tours from March to June sold out just 15 minutes after they went on sale.
"最后第二部分我们看到动词 depart 指出发、离开或是启程。例如 My flight will depart soon, so I must turn off my phone. 我的班机很快就要起飞了，所以我必须把手机关机。或是 It was already 10 minutes past schedule when the train finally departed. 火车终于发车时，已经超过预定时间10分钟了。另外，将 depart 在字尾加上 ure， 就变成了单字 departure。这个字是名词，意思是出发或是离开。像是 We must delay our departure until the storm leaves the area. 我们必须延后出发，直到暴风雨离开这个区域。也可以说 Please arrive at the airport at least an hour before your departure. 请至少在您的飞机启程前1小时抵达机场。
Okay, so the second part of our lesson for today is entitled The Future Express, and in Taiwan, old trains have found new life as scenic tourist attractions. So, of course, if you've grown up here in Taiwan, you know that trains are changing all the time. And I remember when I first came to Taiwan, they had the local trains that were blue. And, of course, they were not air-conditioned, and I frankly prefer those because you could always open the window and you could smell the fresh air from outside. That doesn't happen anymore because all trains are now air-conditioned. But, again, we've got some old trains that are probably still usable. The cars can still be used, and they have found new life as scenic tourist attractions. So, indeed, Taiwan Railways is probably trying to offer the passengers some new options and a way to make some more more money to support itself.
That sounds great. And this train has kind of been given a new life. It says the remodeled Future Express has been painted with a black and orange design that hints at its sunset theme. Ooh, I kind of like that. That's pretty neat. And I also like the fact that they've remodeled this train. When you remodel something, you kind of take something old and you make it new again by basically rebuilding the inside of it, fixing the damage on the outside. A remodeled house could look new, but then when you ask about it, you find, oh no, it was built 50 years ago, but 5 years ago, we basically ripped out the insides, fixed everything, changed everything, new wires, new pipes, new inside, floors, everything. So they fixed it up, made it new again for a whole nother generation, for a few more decades. This Future Express was an old train, but now it will be a great new train for a few decades. And of course, when you remodel things, one of the things you often do is paint it again. Give it a nice fresh coat of paint. In this case, they have a fresh coat of paint and a beautiful design. It's black and orange, and this design hints at the sunset theme. I guess the idea with this train is that you take it in the late afternoon, and as you're traveling on it and the sun is going down an hour or two later, you're enjoying your dinner and the views all at the same time, and oh my gosh, it's so lovely. So this is what the black and orange design is hinting at. It's kind of giving you a little idea. It's giving you a little bit of a clue, a little bit of a demonstration of the kind of beautiful sunsets, the beautiful light you'll see in a few hours as you're on the train when the sun is going down, right? Sunset is around 5, 6, 7 p.m. at the end of the day when the sun is going down. And yes, it can be beautiful.
And this year, the Sunset train was upgraded to provide passengers with a unique fine dining experience. So again, they remodeled the trains. They probably tore out all the old seats and put in dining tables inside the cars. But you can have this unique fine dining experience. So of course, you can have some wonderful food. Of course, they've got lots of different dishes to choose from here in Taiwan, and you can have some fine dining there. Well, it says here, departing from Taipei's Nangang Station, the train offers a fancy food-filled one-day trip to Hualien or a two-day trip to Taidong. So yeah, Hualien is not that far away, so it's just a one-day trip, which is great. You can check out the scenery and have some wonderful meals on the way here. Again, it's a one-day trip to Hualien, but if you want to go farther down the East Coast, you can take a two-day trip to Taidong.
So that sounds pretty good. As we said, you know, maybe not quite like traveling across the Rocky Mountains or all the way across the Australian outback, but still a one-day trip in a luxury train or even a two-day trip sounds good. And it sounds like I'm not the only person with that opinion, because the concept, as we read in the final sentence of this section, the idea seems to have been popular, or as it says, the concept seems to be a hit. A hit is something that is popular with the public probably right away, very, very quickly. So as soon as they announced it, people were interested. How interested? Well, it says, as tours from March to June, that would be of this year, sold out just 15 minutes after they went on sale. They sold hundreds of tickets, I imagine, because this is what, March, May, 4 or 5 months of trips, and they sold them out in just 15 minutes. So a very big public appetite for special train experiences like the Future Express.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the third and final part. We'll wrap things up.
Whether you want to travel through Europe in style or explore the wild Australian outback, a train can take you there. These amazing trips prove that the journey is just as important as the destination.
Okay, so this is a short paragraph. It wraps things up here. It says, whether you want to travel through Europe in style or explore the wild Australian outback, a train can take you there. So yes, when we wrap things up, we kind of talk about the range of things. You can do this and you can do that. And if you do those, then this is the result. So yeah, whether you want to take the Orient Express and go to Istanbul, or if you want to take that train across the Australian desert there, the outback there, well, the train is the way to go. It's going to offer you an experience you will never forget.
Absolutely. And these amazing trips prove that the journey is just as important as the destination. Yes, absolutely. Train travel is for people who want to enjoy the journey. They're not just in a rush to get to where they're trying to go. Where you are trying to go to is your destination. So if you go to the airport and you're flying somewhere, they would say, "What's your destination?" And you say, "Oh, I'm flying to Hong Kong today," or "I'm flying to Brazil today." You might have to check in a different place, that kind of thing, because where you are going, your destination, depends on, which part of the airport you are going to travel through.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher, Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分介绍了加拿大铁路公司的落基山之光，它最受欢迎的路线就是从沿海城市温哥华到度假小镇班夫 Banff。 那这个小镇它是以令人叹为观止的山林景色和天然温泉著称。我们要表达以什么而闻名，以什么而著称，除了可以用到 be famous for， 其实还有许多其他类似的用法，像你可以用 be famed for、be noted for, be renowned for, be celebrated for 等等。好，那我们刚刚说到这个 renowned 还有 celebrated 都是用来形容著名的、知名的。那么介系词 for 后面你可以接名词或动名词，例如 The city is famed for its beautiful beaches. 那个城市以美丽的海滩而闻名。好，那相反的我们可以用 be infamous或者是 be notorious， 然后后面搭配 for 再加名词或动名词，去表达因什么什么而声名狼藉、恶名昭彰。举例来说 ，The restaurant is infamous for its terrible service。那间餐厅啊，因为服务太差而风评不佳。我们也可以说 He is notorious for being cruel to animals。他因为对动物残忍而恶名昭彰。好，那么课文第二部分它介绍了台铁的明日号观光列车，它是从台北南港站出发，那么提供了充满精致美食的花莲一日游啊，或者是台东二日游。课文就写到说 The concept seems to be a hit。这个概念似乎很受欢迎，这边用到 hit 是当名词，用来指说是爆红或者是受欢迎的事物。好，那另外要帮同学们补充的是连缀动词 seem 的用法。seem 它表示似乎、好像。那我们来看看几个常见用法哦。第一个是你可以用 seem to be 再加上名词或形容词，其中的 to be 可以省略不用。例如 The book seems to be interesting。也可以说 The book seems interesting。 这本书似乎很有趣。好，那第二个用法你可以用 seem to 加上原形动词，例如 Everyone seemed to enjoy the show。 大家似乎都很喜欢那场表演。好，那如果把动词的部分改成完成式，用 seem to have 再加上过去分词 PP， 这只是用来表达说似乎已经怎么样怎么样，用来表达动作或事情已经完成。例如They seem to have settled their differences。 他们似乎已经化解了彼此的分歧了。第三个用法是 It seems that 主词加动词，像 It seems that Dave is the right person for the job。 Dave 似乎是那份工作的最佳人选。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Sightseeing. Harold did a lot of sightseeing in Paris last year. Guarantee. Unfortunately, hard work doesn't necessarily guarantee success. Dome. The entrance to the building is covered by a large glass dome. Resort. They spent the week relaxing at the resort by the beach. Upgrade. You'll need to upgrade your internet connection if you want to play that game. Depart. Our flight departs at 8 a.m., so we have to wake up early. Destination. After driving for 7 hours, we finally reached our destination.
Discussion starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, which of the trains mentioned in the article would you most like to take a trip on, and why?
The Orient Express.
That's your first choice, right?
That would be my first choice. I know it will never happen. I just think the romance of the train, you know, the connection to the old mystery story, Murder on the Orient, just all of that stuff I think is so cool and so interesting. But when I actually think about it, of course, it would be expensive. And then I also think, I don't think I'd have nice enough clothes to travel on it. It sounds like a train you'd really want to be dressed up all the time, just in case you get murdered.
That would be something you definitely want to avoid, getting murdered.
Jeans and a t-shirt on the Orient Express would really cut it.
Yeah, I don't think so. But for me, the GAN sounds amazing because, well, the other ones just sound kind of exclusive and you'll just be with the people you're traveling with. The GAN sounds like it's going to give you an opportunity to mingle with other people, to meet people from different parts of the world and hear their stories and stuff like that. So, indeed, that one sounds the best option.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.